Welcome, chat fighters.
Oh, I like peanut butter. What kind of funky club were you at last night?
Boobs are real, her boobs sparkle, her drinks are perfect.
I'm addicted to coffee, and I love to gamble. Gio, can you say patriarchy so we can drink?
Welcome, chat fighters. Ready for this pregame of the Super Bowl with us three ladies? How are we doing today, Shannon?
Good, very good.
What about you,
Super.
Joe?
Good.
Are y'all
Pretty
watching
good.
the game today?
No.
No.
I really, I could care less as well. I just kind of casually asked my roommate.
I don't even know who's in it.
Yeah, I just casually asked my roommate before I came because I was like, maybe I should know who's in it since we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it a little bit. It's the 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs.
There you go.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook.
Thank you. Gonzo.
49ers are LA, right, Gonzo?
No, San Francisco.
Oh, well,
Same
California,
thing.
close. I
We
was
got
close.
that.
Same thing.
But we decided that we would bring you some balls before the game, right, ladies? We all decided to wear cleavage. And guess what? That brings me to our game. We have a chat fight game that we would love for you to join in. It's a pregame, so
Drinking
get you
game.
something, some booze to drink before the game. And with us, whenever I say patriarchy, we'll have to take a drink. If Joanna says Poland, Sharon says acting. If Trump or mansplaining or needing a cigarette is mentioned, we'll also take drinks. If we get really girly and use the word like in a sentence 3 times or more,
Right.
drink. If you hear Gonzo off camera, if we ask for Gonzo's input, we'll also take a drink. You'll finish your drinks if I say I was wrong.
You're no
Cleavage,
longer
you can
hearing a
use in the shot,
disembodied
so-
voice off camera. I actually
Is
have
this
a
enough
microphone
cleavage?
now.
This
Oh,
is
Plenty
Gonzo
of
just
cleavage.
spoke.
Wow.
Go ahead and finish a drink, and we'll let you slide for the rest of the game. And if Sharon mentions an actor or actress's name, you'll also finish your drink. All right? So,
Aight.
with that said, are we ready to start, ladies? How was
ready.
everybody's weeks? First of all, let's start there.
Hectic, very hectic.
What'd you have going on?
Well, Friday was like a deadline for 1099s and, just tax stuff. So I had a really hectic week. So
Yeah.
that was, just nonsense and bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What,
Yeah.
what about you, Joe?
Uneventful.
I thought it was eventful. We had a show together this week.
We had a show. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. That was
was
fun.
fun.
Yeah, that was fun. That was one event.
And you had gone there earlier. It was Gypsy Moon Vaping Brews.
Yeah,
Have
that
you
was
ever
fun.
been there, Gonzo?
Very nice.
I like that place.
That was-
That was nice. Oh, yeah, you asked Gonzo for input.
Yeah.
Why did we
And
take
even
a
though I've got a
drink?
microphone,
I
You
asked-
solicited him.
Yeah.
But you solicited that comment.
We still take a drink. when
Oh,
we
okay.
Solicited.
I thought like something else happened, but I can't remember. I seriously can't remember. But no, it was good. It
Yeah.
was,
Last night was fun.
okay.
We
I was
did
just
Yeah,
going to
last
say,
night
I
was
thought
fun.
last night was great because
Last night we had a good
we all
time.
got up
Yeah.
together,
It
which
was a lot of
we
fun.
never
We
get
all
to
went
do.
out to Coffee District. Dean Rushdie, he runs the mic on Saturday. God bless him, because Saturday mics are kind of hard to come
Yeah.
by.
Yeah,
And,
it's a good room.
It's a
But
good
yeah, it was
room.
fun.
Get there early, and that never happens with me.
And it was a
I
good
mean,
audience.
yes.
They were good. They were
Yeah.
gracious.
Gracious,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, they
And
really
then
were.
we headed on over to Robot for their. They usually have a Saturday night show here in Boca.
Yeah,
Um,
that was okay too. That was good.
yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was Chris Rowe and Fat Chops.
Fat
headlining.
Chops,
They're very funny
hilarious.
guys.
Two hilarious guys.
Mhm. And then there were some like cameos. Jackie Sanchez popped up. Drilla, I love them. They're always really funny.
how did Chris Rowe get on stage?
He's always lifted onto stage. They
Well,
just asked-
I've helped once. I understand that is a really tall stage.
on Robot. I know.
That robot's got like a
I was thinking that
4
last
foot
night.
high
I was
stage.
Like, it is not handicap accessible, but you know what? No one. Chris doesn't complain, I guess.
Yeah,
and
nobody
someone
minds.
always helps.
But nobody minds. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
Yeah, well, and be sure to let everybody know a little secret. Chris Rowe is one of the best comics in South Florida, but you can't call him a stand-up comic. Ha, okay, I say.
But you know what? Me and Chris Rowe have gotten into it over politics. Of course.
You
of
did?
course. You know, Blame Girl just people don't like her. So
You got really, and he's so amiable.
me too. Like that's the thing about me and about Blame Girl. Like I'll go back and forth with you in politics. I'll think you are completely wrong, but I'll still talk to you. You know.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, I know.
That's why we're doing the show, and Sharon knows too, because I know
Oh,
we've
yeah.
had some Facebook
Absolutely.
disagreements on some
Yeah,
topics.
well, that's what it's all about. You
Yeah.
have to be able to talk to each other about stuff. And
Yeah.
we all have different opinions. If you can't share your opinions with each other,
I know everybody's going to be drunk or whacked out on coffee, but and I'm piping in only because I've got a microphone. But lately,
that
Bill
away.
Maher on Real Time
I haven't been
with Bill
watching it
Maher.
lately,
I
yeah.
haven't.
Bill has been talking about you can't hate the people who support something you don't like.
Right.
You can't hate the people like you
Right.
can't hate Trump supporters. Don't hate them. You might hate him,
Yeah.
but
Right.
don't hate them. Why hate them? Then you're hurting
I don't
your argument as well as bolstering and making them defensive. So
Yeah, I don't.
Good
hate
job by
them,
you, Gio.
But I still, it still gives me an insight to what type of person that they are in my mind, that I perceive that they are by their politics. You know, we all have our own perceptions, and
Perception is reality.
yeah, I feel to me, I don't want to get into it too deep with politics because we've got a lot we want to cover today. But I just think that I just lost my train of thought, which is probably good. So let's just move on. we'll make it. We'll do some. We're gonna get political today. One of the topics I chose is kind of political. So first, I want to talk about. This is a segue into our first topic. Now, as everyone in the room knows, we lost Kobe Bryant last week on Sunday around this time, I believe, because I was in Texas.
yeah, almost exactly this time.
Yeah, right.
So sad.
And his daughter, they were in a plane, a helicopter with 9 other people, or 9 people total died, lost their life.
Yes,
They
it was
flew
7
into
other people.
They flew into the side of a mountain, and it was very sad. And I was at home, and I was hanging out with my dad, and I was gonna do a mic in Austin, right? And it was already hard enough convincing my dad to and he was like getting on where he was like, okay, he's retired now. I'm like, you don't have any excuse. You don't have to work, so we were like hanging out. I go inside to have some lunch, and I come back to the garage, and he just points at the TV, and I'm like, oh, whoa. And, so I start, looking online and stuff, and he just loses steam, and I'm like, he doesn't want to go with me anymore, and he's like, I'm going to just take a Benadryl and go to bed. And I was like, okay,
12:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's so emotional over this, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, it was very sad, don't get me wrong, but I wasn't going to cancel my plans because my cousin, she was like, well, cousin, if you feel like you shouldn't. I was like, no, I'm going. What are you talking about? Like, I wasn't that big of a Kobe fan to begin with, but that doesn't take away from my empathy for the situation.
Right.
So, with that said, I find it, and it's Super Bowl weekend, too, so this is like, I find it interesting that I think men, they are so much more willing, and it's more acceptable in society to show emotion when it comes to sports. And I think a lot of times they'll put more emotion, more energy into a sports team than they will into a team with their significant other. Do you ladies, have you had this experience in relationships? Because I've been in relationships not long enough because I don't watch sports with anyone. I'm not like the girl that will side with the team to impress the guy. Like, I just can't. I don't have the time or energy to do that. Never did. So, But have y'all ever experienced this? I've seen it with some women, and I mean, what do y'all think about the whole subject? Like men and their emotions and sports teams and.
Personally, I haven't. I haven't really had that experience personally, but I've seen it. I've seen it with other people.
You've seen it with other couples.
Yeah, exactly.
So men you've been involved with, they're like not that to that extent fanatical about teams.
No, they're fanatical about other things.
Oh, well, okay.
Same
So,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like my dad is a huge Mets fan. Okay,
Okay.
I'm from New York. Obviously,
Yeah.
everyone knows that. My dad's a diehard. To me, a fan is a fan whether they're good or they're bad, and the whole world knows the Mets suck. Okay, My dad doesn't care. He's been a fan since he's a young since the Mets came into being, which I think was, Gonzo helped me out here, in the 60s, right?
1962.
Right. So
Well-
my dad's been a fan since 1962, and for the most part, the Mets, I think, have won like maybe one championship, maybe two. And my dad doesn't care. He just loves the Mets. But with all that being said, my dad has never put my mom on the side for the Mets. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like my dad, like my mom is number one, and then the Mets, and then us. but so I wasn't brought up in a house with where sports was the predominant factor. And I've
But
been
I
married
think-
twice, and neither one of them were big sports fans. So
Something you brought up is interesting because you said your dad was a big Mets fan.
yeah.
Was that because of that's the region where he grew up?
Yeah, well, we're from New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah.
And in New York, you're either a Mets fan or a Yankees fan.
Yeah.
And almost everybody I know.
Loser.
Okay. Y'all heard that?
Loser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, everyone I know. Yep, we got a drink.
Oh, yeah. Forgot.
Everybody I know is a Yankee fan.
It's like so.
So my dad's like an anomaly.
It's affiliated with your location
Yeah,
so
pretty
much because I
much.
come from Texas and it's like Houston, Dallas, Spurs, this, that,
Yeah.
whatever. But that's how I would identify with. I don't really
Right.
hear,
Right.
ultimately. But what are your thoughts, Joanna? I encourage you guys, if you're listening, go ahead and pop into our chat and join in. Guys, especially, I want to know what your thoughts
Yeah.
are. Why do y'all care more about your teams than your significant others, if you feel that way? I'll share some thoughts after we talk to Joanna about some feedback I got before the show.
I haven't had this, experience personally either, but
Yeah.
I've seen it too. I had friends, my really good friend Sharon and Darren, they were married, and
Sharon and Darren?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
and Darren was like a avid football fan,
Mhm.
and everything in their house, everything from a shower curtain to
Yeah.
wall clocks to everything was Raiders.
Yeah.
Raiders. They had their cat. They had a cat named Raider.
Oh my God.
And I used
Cat
to,
named-
yes, and I used to tell Sharon, like, this looks like a 15-year-old boy's living room. And she's like, well, he likes it that way. So she kind of like went
Yeah.
with it. To me, that was like ridiculous because,
Yeah.
yeah, she's a girl. She wants to girly it up or something. No, Raiders. So I've seen it, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But me personally, no. I had a boyfriend who was a crazy Seminole fan. He went to FSU, is it, Gonzo? And his son went to FSU, and his ex-wife, like the whole family was FSU. So, but he did miss a couple games just to like hang out with me and do the things I liked, which I did appreciate enough that I actually started to learn football because
Aw,
of that. Like,
'cause he
okay,
showed you some, so
yes,
you were
yes,
like,
I was
okay.
being,
Yeah.
but not, but I mean, just listen. When you listen to them talk, I go to work, and these guys at work, that's all they talk about is sports, and it's like, ugh.
You know, it's
You know what I
funny,
mean?
like,
Talk about something
they
else.
can't communicate about a relationship, but they can communicate all their emotions about a freaking sports team.
They-
like,
yeah.
very clearly.
You know what?
It's
They
just-
talk about their vacation and stuff,
Mhm.
and they talk about what they did. I went fishing. I went this. I went skydiving. I went this. They hardly ever say my wife and I.
Yeah.
But when they talk about sports, it's all about their team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The team.
And then you
Yes,
listen
yes,
to the
yes.
woman
And it makes-
talk, and it's all about.
And
yeah.
the women, yeah, when women talk, it's like my husband and I, me and my husband. It's always, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
why is that? That's, you know what I mean? They never do that.
Very
Patriarchy.
interesting.
They never.
Very interesting.
It's true. I mean,
Yeah.
like couple times
said
I would
patriarchy, come on.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm gonna lose my. Couple times I like literally wanted to ask my friend, "You went on vacation, dude? Did your wife go with you? Or was it just you? You know, like because it's like
Yeah.
no mention there. You know."
Interesting. Why don't we check in the chat, and I'll tell you what my buddy. Oh.
Well, it's
They're all
Super Bowl.
quiet.
It is
They're all
Super Bowl
watching.
Sunday.
They're
They're all
scared.
watching.
Old
commercials.
Super Bowl
They're
games?
they're watching the pre-game.
Come on, guys. But anyway,
But I really like what Perry said when you put on Facebook today. What is Super Bowl or something?
Yeah.
I have to quote him.
go ahead.
I loved it. Super Bowl is the game, a football game that Patriots normally win, but this year they're taking a well-deserved vacation. Go Pats!
I know I don't like Tom Brady, but anyway.
Nobody cares.
But I lost my train of thought.
How do you not like
Oh,
Tom
yes.
Brady? What do you not like
I
about
know,
Tom Brady?
I know what it is. Hold on.
No.
Don't make me
No.
lose my train of thought.
No,
Yes,
now I'm
yes.
excited.
I'm not talking.
Now I'm triggered.
Don't engage. I'm not engaging.
I'm triggered.
So I was talking to my buddy about this topic, and he was like, honestly, like, some of us have been with our teams longer than we've been with our significant others. And I was like, oh, well, that's a good point. You
That
know?
makes sense.
They grow
That
up.
doesn't make any sense.
No, that makes sense.
No,
To
the
me.
team doesn't even know they fucking exist. I don't care how long they've been watching their team. The team has no idea that they exist.
Yeah.
The significant other
To-
was
to-
there when they were sick, when they were sad, when they were fucked up, when they were drunk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then to have all
So
that
it's-
emotion.
Yeah, it's not
you
the
know.
time that you spend putting into your team. It's the time that you spend together.
Yeah.
The team has the guy could die and the team would not even know. So they have a like
Yep,
totally
that's true.
misplaced idea.
Like
about
Darren.
that.
Darren.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Darren, like, guys like Darren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I don't think any Raiders team member has Darren clock on his wall or you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
whatever.
Darren Clark.
Darren passed away a
That's
few
funny.
years ago, by
Oh,
the
I'm
way,
sorry.
so
Oh.
that's very sad. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
but that
it's
proves
yeah,
the point. Like,
yeah,
they probably
yeah,
didn't
like don't
commemorate
know.
his death
Yeah.
the way.
That's
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
So no, that's no. You and your team did not spend any more
I just
time than you
know,
did with your significant other.
Like with Kobe Bryant, like the black male community was just crushed, and they showed so much emotion. I saw him crying, and it was like cool, you know. They're capable of doing it.
well, he was.
Why don't you do that in real life? You know, with real life. I mean, not that Kobe's not real life, but
No.
you know, with people that
Why
you
don't
do.
they do that with their own?
Yeah, do you do
people?
that? Yeah. Are you that torn up when you suffer a loss? You know. But-
I hear what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense what you're saying too. Actually,
What
Yeah.
is he doing?
he's filming us.
He's trying to
putting
do
us on
some-
face-
TikTok.
He's trying to
Oh,
do some
TikTok.
like engagement to get some.
We should
people-
do some Super Bowl jigglies, and let him do a TikTok. You know, Super Bowl.
I
Boom,
don't
boom,
even know
boom,
what a
boom. Come on,
TikTok
dude.
is.
Grab your tits and just
She just doesn't
go
know what it is.
TikTok,
just do
TikTok.
like this?
Go like this,
TikTok,
TikTok, TikTok,
TikTok,
TikTok. Come on, Gonzo. We're gonna do a
You
TikTok.
guys are making me do girly shit. No.
Do the girly shit.
I don't like
Come
it.
on. What do you mean?
Okay, so
I'm not-
Gonzo,
Yes.
I know you have something to say about this subject, and we can all.
All right.
I need some more coffee.
All right. Yeah, I'm doing producer stuff, but I'll get in here
Where's
and
Brett?
jibber
I
jabber
like
at
your
you.
microphone.
All right.
Look at his microphone.
Men identify with sports teams because, as generally as children, we're encouraged more, at least in the past, we have been encouraged inordinately more to compete in sporting competitions, whether the individual or team competitions. Generally, when we watch teams, boys tend to follow whatever their dad likes. Okay, if your dad's a Miami Dolphins fan, you're going to grow up most likely to become a Miami Dolphins fan. Or as some kids tend to rebel and they go, oh, they suck all the time, they lose all the time. I like this team, and they tend to follow whatever is a really popular winning team at the time.
Yeah.
And boys tend to be more tribal. It's as simple as that. We tend to be more tribal. That's the reason why we identify with the team. You know, we say things like, "We won today,"
Yeah. They
and
do say
I have
that.
literally had women.
Y'all don't. You didn't play.
Huh?
Like that's
I
my
pl- I
response.
played
like,
a
you
little
didn't-
bit.
Like when guys say that, like, "Oh, we won today," talking about
Like,
the sport. I'm
really?
like, you didn't play. Like,
Like,
they won.
where were you?
They won.
You know, how much did you score?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, we won. It doesn't matter what team sport it is either. We won, our side. But what I'm seeing is a change as time goes on. Women are identifying more with team sports. They're getting into it more. You're now getting female sports leagues, and it's not all just a bunch of lesbians.
Yeah.
You know, these are they may be, you know, a little more seemingly masculine because they can perform in a similar fashion, but they're still, you know, they have their own style. I think the WNBA is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, the death of Kobe Bryant is a huge blow to the WNBA
Yeah,
because he
that-
was a
he
huge
was one of the-
supporter.
he was one of the
and
biggest
plus, he was
supporters.
raising a future superstar. Gigi was going to be a monster.
I'm sure she was.
She was already a monster. She was 13 years old playing with 15 and 16-year-old
I can't
girls.
imagine having to play against Kobe Bryant's daughter because
On
I
an-
was
on an
I was
elite
an
level.
athlete. Yeah, I was an athlete.
On an
And that's the
elite
thing
level.
about sports for me. I like playing them. I just don't like watching them on TV. I'll go to a live sport. Like I
And that's
worked
great.
at the at Minute Maid Stadium watching the Astros play for over 5 years. And
Totally
it was
jealous.
Great. It was
Yeah.
great. But
And that place
and I
rocks.
kind of identified with the team, but I wasn't like fanatical or anything like that. And I wouldn't watch a game on TV. It's boring.
It didn't
But-
affect your day.
No, well,
Some guys, it'll affect their fucking
it only
week.
affected
It will
my
affect their decade. They'll be crying.
look. It only affected my.
I used to be like that when I was a
tips.
teenager. When I was in my early 20s, there were a few instances where I got into shoving matches and fist fights and stuff in public.
yeah.
You know, you shut the
Yeah,
fuck
'cause
up,
you-
you shut the fuck up, brr. And then alcohol never helps, of course.
You're definitely a sports fan. You have Gonzo, the sports desk. That
I have
will-
a sports show.
Yeah.
I've been a Miami Dolphins season ticket holder. I grew up with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
Grew
Today
up like
is a
from
pretty
birth.
monumental day for women in the Super Bowl. We have our first woman female coach
That's true.
Yes.
on the
That's right.
Super Bowl team.
Yes,
So
and
And
even
first
though
lesbian.
she, and,
Pretty
and
cool.
she happens to be a lesbian, once
Yeah, but I
again,
don't care.
I
She's a
personally
woman.
don't like to focus on sexual
I don't think
orientation
I
or
don't care if she
preference.
fucks. I don't really care.
Yeah, you don't care. I don't.
she's
I really,
a woman.
Yeah, but
people
regardless,
people are
the
making a
society
deal
does,
out of it.
Society does.
Yeah, but I'm just saying she's a female and she's coaching a Super Bowl team.
And she's in a
Like that's
very-
pretty bad.
Well, you know
That's
what?
pretty
She's
badass.
in a very.
She's going to be the
Society-
first head
yeah,
coach,
society
first
cares
female
about
head
it
coach in the
because they
NFL.
made, no,
I'm
because
saying
they
I
made
think
it
she's a
such a
woman.
big deal about it.
It is a big deal. She's the first female coach of a Super Bowl
But she
team.
will be the first female head coach. That the first time in a long time.
It's pretty
we
amazing.
have a candidate who who is talented enough, who is strong enough, who
Right.
is knowledgeable enough
Yeah.
that she can
She
be
can
the
do
first
it.
female
And-
head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
Let me just pop
I
in.
think it's amazing.
No, I'm saying the fact that she's lesbian, that shouldn't matter.
Let
But
me
they
just
made,
pop in on
the
that.
reason they
The
made a
thing
big
about-
deal, they made a big deal about
No,
it.
it is a big deal
Yeah.
because they haven't even had a gay man do that yet.
Doesn't
and
matter.
It's interesting to me that
See, but
the
that
NFL
should-
is
it
more
shouldn't
accepting
matter.
of a lesbian than they
That
are
you know
of a gay
of.
man.
Because maybe they're just looking
Yeah,
at her.
that you know of.
Maybe-
They're not out.
Okay.
Well, wait,
They're not
maybe-
out and open, and that's
maybe-
why it's important.
Maybe they're just looking at her ability, like Gonzo said. She's strong
I
enough.
hope
She's
that they are just
knowledgeable enough.
looking
Well,
at her
obviously they
ability.
are. I think it's the
Not
gay
the fact that
community
she's a
that made a
woman or
big
that
deal
she's a
out of
lesbian.
being gay than society actually does.
Is this
No,
a
it's
segue to
not.
female
Yeah.
leadership?
No.
Yeah.
Oh well, maybe
'Cause
so.
who the fuck
Segue.
cares?
Thank you.
Who cares if who she's sleeping with?
But that's my point. They do care because Gonzo just said like the gay men haven't come out and there hasn't been a gay head coach or.
Well, maybe he
a
wasn't
coach.
good enough to be a head coach yet.
Sure, I'm sure.
I mean,
Maybe he wasn't good enough, and maybe there just aren't a whole lot of.
It's
you
not
know,
welcoming to gay men, and that's why I said I find it interesting that the lesbian
no,
excelled
you guys
to
are.
it before.
Why don't
a
you
gay
guys just
man
keep
did.
it simple? Maybe she's just.
I love it.
Maybe she just happened to be better
Maybe she's
at
just
this
that
than the
good.
gay men that. So, just
So
keep it
that
simple.
does bring us to our next subject. Like last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I posted on Facebook about in Scandinavia or Norway or Finland. So I should have looked it up before I came here. I don't know why I didn't. It's a few weeks ago, but it was about how like it was like dominated by women leadership, and I said, you know.
Finland. You said Finland.
Yes,
I remember.
like
Finland.
oh, yes, like them.
Finland.
It was Finland. It was Finland. So they're being led by women right now, and I was like, oh,
Down
you know,
they go.
I think that,
Watch.
and that's interesting that she's taking that position now. Maybe it was just because she was a woman, and now women are running it. Down they go.
I never said because she was a woman. I said maybe because of her ability to coach were that good, and that's what they looked at. Had
Yeah.
nothing to do with her being a woman or man.
So
That's
why
not
wouldn't
what
you
I
think a
meant.
woman could be a leader?
Generally speaking, I think women don't make better leaders than men because that's the topic, right?
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't think. I just don't.
Why do you think that?
Why do I think that? Okay.
Other
They're more.
than
They're
being
more.
brainwashed by
They're
the
more.
patriarchy. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Fuck you. Would that go on the radio?
I'm gonna add that to the drink.
That's a finish, right?
Not to finish your cup. fuck you.
Fuck you. That's why.
Cause fuck you.
That's what you get for being ugly. That's what you get for being ugly, Joe. Cussing me out.
Oh, it's brutal.
Excuse me.
Jet pie.
That's the patriarchy.
I said it with love.
That was.
That's so sad. I miss our chat.
I said it with
Like our
love.
chat, like
I'm not
everyone.
brainwashed.
We fucked them up with the new start time. I'm sorry, but we
Yeah, nobody.
It's
in
fine.
deference to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but it's Super Bowl.
Okay,
for
I'm
real.
back. I
Nobody's
said it with love.
watching a
I'm not
podcast.
brainwashed.
Nobody's listening to a podcast.
Okay,
Okay.
why do you think women can't be better leaders
Okay,
than men?
the closest experience that I have with women leaders, so to speak, I work for the post office, right? Our management changes periodically. They take them out, bring new ones in. Every freaking time we got a woman manager or a woman supervisor, the shit gets so fucked up at the post office. The
In
mail,
what way?
okay, the mail piles up. They can't manage the numbers. They can't manage the parcels. We get behind. That's why they come back, take her out, and bring a dude. The mail manager cleans it up. Things start running smoothly. Then apparently the screaming starts. You need equality. Boom. They bring a woman again. Give a couple months. Post office is going crazy. The building is out of control. The same thing happens. They can't handle it. They are, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm a woman. Of course I
Yeah,
want
you
to.
sound like you hate women to me. But go
No,
ahead.
of course I want to say we as smart as they are, we as this and that, but it seems to me that they can't handle it, and I think women are more
Pursuant
emotional.
to your anecdotal stories at the post office.
That is not anecdotal. That is the truth.
That's anecdotal. That just happened with you.
That's happening like all the time.
Yeah, but that's not all the time that.
I mean, you
women
gave
are
me
bad
you gave me
leaders,
an
you know?
example one time that like African countries are led, the tribal are like by women, the tribes in Africa and stuff. You told me that.
Well, not anymore. I mean, there are some indigenous tribes that are led by
Well, I'm not even gonna go there because that's
that are not patriarchy.
But it's women are more emotional than men.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we're not as rational as they are generally.
Wow. I think that
Not as logical.
While you're on emotional, I think sometimes emotion can be empathy, and that's important for a leader. That's why I think women can. Because the thing about it is, I posted this,
Yeah.
and
Hillary Clinton,
one of my
the most
favorite,
empathic leader ever.
one of my favorite commenters, Chuck, he gets on there. He's a huge Marxist, right? He believes in communism, and that's the route to equality because it doesn't take into account your sex, your socioeconomic status. Everything is just like on an even playing field. Okay.
Where are you getting
So he's
that?
like, no, women are not going to necessarily be, they're just as capable as doing evil things as men. And then he starts posting all
Hell
these
yeah.
examples. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you, Chuck. But I still, my gut feeling, and I know it's not factual, but I just feel like women would be better leaders. I mean,
How so?
I at least think we need the opportunity to see what happens if this world is run by more women. I feel like if a woman was in charge, that maybe climate change it would be addressed. I think that,
How so?
I don't think
How
our
would it be
Medicaid
better?
and
That's
stuff
what
would
I
be
want to know.
getting
How would it be
cut.
better? That's all I want to know.
but that I think because they care more about the collective of
What
people,
would they do? How would it be better?
I just said that they would care about climate change, so we'd address that. We would
Everybody cares about it, but how would what would they do?
Okay, I want some of Sharon's input.
That's not nice. Because you don't know what to say. That's
No,
it.
it's not. I just want some of Sharon's.
No, you don't know what to say every time.
Just viewing the world globally, how many women leaders are there? Have there been? Just looking at the UK, let's say.
Okay.
You know, I would love to see a woman president of the United States. I really would. I would.
I would
really
too, but I'm not going to put that above policy, of course. You know.
But it's an interesting topic. I not to sound like a woman hater because I'm not, obviously. And
No, I figured you
I'm-
would
I'm-
both disagree
I'm-
on this.
God, we could talk for hours about this because you know how I
We
feel
got
about.
time.
I mean, God, to start. I don't think about who's the stronger sex. I was brought up, blah, 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 6 kids, 4 brothers, 1 sister. I was not brought up to ever think I'm any lesser than my brothers.
Okay.
I was not brought up like that.
Yeah.
So I never thought like that. I'm also only barely 5'2". I never thought that I'm short until I was told by my talent agents how short I am.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize I was short until people told me I was short.
Yeah.
So my brain, I'm not wired like that.
Yeah.
I'm not wired to think like a woman. I don't think like a woman. So, with that being said, I just think whoever is in power and believes that they can do the job probably can do the job. But that's my belief.
You believe that whoever
I do. Whoever,
is
like,
in
for
power-
instance, as much as I fucking hate her, and I don't use that word lightly, Hillary Clinton, if she were to get into that position, would have done the best job she could have possibly done, okay?
Yeah.
Not because her vagina, but because of the position she held, okay? I don't think vaginas and penises
You think because of her
dictate.
experience?
She trained for the job her whole
She trained
life.
for the job, right?
She
Like,
was a
I
creature
don't-
of
but-
Washington, D.C.,
Right.
and she was probably the most qualified person that I ever run for the office.
Right, and I don't like her. Like, I'm just speaking.
Me neither.
But that's how I
It's not hate,
feel
but-
about
I'm like,
women
I'm like
and
thinking
men.
about it, and I'm like, yeah, he's probably.
Yeah, I don't think, but I'm just, I'm
wasn't-
like a weird person.
Yeah.
I don't think women are a lesser or more, and I don't think
Yeah.
men are more or less.
Yeah.
I think it just like I said this to both of you many times. When I meet someone, I don't look at your color. I don't look at how much money you have. I don't look at your religion or any of that. I
You're
look at how you
Marxist.
treat me as a person.
Yeah.
And then I determine whether or not you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's how I am. And that's how I was brought up. And that's how I am.
Yeah.
So, like, and I would just wish everybody was like that, but they're not. Because we're a product of our environment and our families and
So,
our,
is there? Let me ask you this: is there a female, and this is just in the political context, a female leader that you feel like would be a good leader?
here in the U.S. right now, there's really not anyone that I'm really supportive of.
Yeah.
Not really. I would, like, if you asked me
Tulsi
this question-
Gabbard.
You know what? That's the first
They
thing that came to
ran
mind.
her off because she would have been
that was
that
when you just
good.
asked me that. That's
lot
the
of
name that
moderates
came to
like-
my mind.
A
Yes,
lot of moderates like
and I consider myself.
And
a
that's
moderate.
and that's the establishment
Yes.
running her off.
Yes, and I agree
Talk
with
about
you.
the
and that's
talk
why I
about
didn't say her
toxic
name.
masculinity.
Yeah,
That's the establishment running her off.
Yeah.
I actually
Okay?
like her,
Yeah, me too.
but yes, I do.
What about
Not
you?
because
Joe?
she's hot.
Is there a
No,
not one?
no,
Not
no,
one?
There's no name. Yeah,
no.
I wish there were somebody.
But
I'll
there
tell
is-
you who I would love to see. I would love to see her actually is Bernie Sanders running mate, because that's who I feel, that's my candidate.
Who? Tulsi?
No.
Oh.
Her name is Tammy Duckworth.
Nice one.
Yeah, she's my favorite woman out there right now. I want to see
I
her
would like
go
to-
higher. She's a senator. She was in the military.
From
She
where?
lost her
From where?
leg. She just had a baby at 50.
From where? Where's she?
She
from?
Yeah.
is a no bullshit person.
Yeah.
Forget her gender.
Yeah.
That is a no bullshit
from?
person.
Yeah, because I like the way she talks to them in Congress. Like yeah.
So
See, I like that.
Is she
I
going
like
around?
that too.
I don't know. Not that I know.
I hope
just
not.
keep saying.
Now
like,
with the
putting it out
baby
there.
at 50.
Oh,
That's just
Lord.
it.
She, what's funny? She took her baby to Congress. Like she was on the floor with her baby.
Yeah, how cute.
That's super cool.
If I may interject, I know we don't have a camera on me, so you guys can go ahead and catch up on your social medias. But I'm a man.
No, I was gonna say.
And I know I had to double check. I'm a man. It's still down there. And I have always been someone who believes that women have the potential to save civilization from itself. The only problem is that most of the women who have risen to positions of power and authority have been marginalized or have met with such tremendous resistance. Indira Gandhi, for one. Okay, I mean, if you really want to look back in history, they've been met with such intractable resistance because of the male domination in society and in of the species, unfortunately. But I believe that as our society grows and as civilization grows, as humanity as a species grows and evolves, and women become more equal, they have the potential to, once again, like I said, save this species, save civilization. I think women have more expansive intellects. I think they're a little less fettered. They're a little less limited. You take a look. There's a lot of classic examples. You take a lot of where a lot of women who worked behind the scene. NASA is a huge example. Okay,
Yeah.
we don't go to the moon. We don't go to outer space without women doing the calculations before computers. Okay, we don't. There's a lot of things we don't achieve as a species, as a civilization. We don't achieve them without these women adding their unique and special talents to the equation.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, and their strengths. What?
How is this so? Wow. I mean, women are part of this human race and this civilization.
Sure.
They have brains just
Yes.
like men do.
Right.
So, how is this like we don't do this without women? Of course we don't. We're all
Right.
part of this together.
But you still look at how
So it's like,
it's still male
what's the-
dominated.
Yeah.
What's the big deal? Because there's obviously
It's not going well.
there is obvious no, because there's obviously part of something in there in our wiring, in our I don't know, DNA, in
Sure.
our, that was meant to be that way.
Secondary?
Like, well, okay, you and I go to
Complementary?
wait a minute. You and I go to space and we do a spacewalk together, right?
Sure.
And we have to undo a latch or hatch or whatever the fuck it's
Sure.
called. Well, guess who's gonna do it? Not me. I can't turn it. You're gonna do it.
Ah,
I bet
here-
you
now
don't
wait.
go if you can't turn it.
There's a matter of equivalency there, okay?
But you
Because
know what I'm trying to
But I
say?
mean,
It's an
listen, and
example.
I know
You're talking
in
about
outer
physical
space. Listen,
strength.
outer
Well,
space
that
travel
goes with it.
space travel and being in space and being part of the space program, one thing that there is definitely a baseline equivalency, speaking of physical strength, okay? A woman and a man are both judged by the same baseline strength. Sure, a man might be able to lift more than the woman, but you can bet your goddamn last dollar that every woman that went to outer space hit that base physical line
Yeah.
where they are able to, if you have to run 4 miles in 20 minutes, guess what? The men did it and the women did it. If you have to be able to turn that stupid hatch that hatch arm, okay, to open that hatch, you have to turn that handle. Believe me, that woman can do it just as well as that man can.
But I don't
okay,
think-
because that is it, because everybody is on the same
I just-
level in that program.
I
That's
just want to
for
say
sure.
that physical strength is that a quality that is necessary in a leader? You know, because if so, then
No, it's
our leader
mental,
that we got
emotional,
now is
Well,
maturity.
we're
I
saying
mean, he
in
can't lift
general.
nothing.
We
You know
are
what I'm saying?
talking about what Gonzo was talking about.
But my
As far as
topic
that.
is like leaders, like world leaders, women being world leaders, and that's not really something that's necessary to be qualified as a world leader, as physical strength. I mean, yeah, you might respect someone who's served in the military, like I say, Tammy Duckworth, but I don't think it's necessary that whoever's running the country have that. I think what I feel like it's not even intelligence. Of course, you want someone intelligent in office. I think what this world has lacked is empathy, and I think women are more empathetic. They are more willing to show emotion. It's more acceptable for them, even though it's not for leaders.
Right. Each
But
gender.
it's inside them. It's
One thing
you know.
that I've grown to understand at an early age, because I grew up with a fairly strong mother. I mean, I grew up in a little bit of a tumultuous household,
Yeah.
and my mother showed her strengths in a variety of ways, whether it be through tolerance, whether it be through ability to be a diplomat, whether it's an ability to put her foot down and go, that's enough of this bullshit. And she raised 2 young boys who were at times fucking maniacs, okay? And we're our father's son. My father is also a very mentally strong person, but he's also, he's a little manipulatively devious, like a lot of men are. I mean, both sides, listen, both genders have their unique qualities, and the problem is that both genders are not allowed to use them equally.
Yeah.
And if they are allowed to use them equally, if everybody brings their shit to the party,
Yeah.
we're going to be stronger together
Yeah.
Well, that's
as a society and as a species.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, men were, and now all of a sudden it's all like, no, it's all about women.
And I get your point. Okay, the problem that you're experiencing, the anxiety you're experiencing, or the disdain that you're experiencing, is the overcorrection. Okay, because throughout society, since
That happens
we were
with a lot of the movements.
yeah, since we were living under trees and running from animals together, okay, the men still dominated because it was still a primitive type of a how can I say, a survival instinct. The stronger male has to protect the weaker female, okay? But we're not there anymore. We're here, and in this instance, we should be able to appreciate each other's strengths and be able to take advantage of them. And we're still stuck a little in the Stone Age. We're still stuck with the Machiavellian principle. We're still stuck with the male dominant, bigger, stronger, yeah. Not necessarily smarter, boys. Not necessarily smarter.
Definitely.
Okay, and that's not just because I'm in a room with 3 women, okay, but not necessarily smarter, not necessarily wiser. Women have their wisdom and strengths of intelligence in areas that men do not, and men have their wisdom and strength and intelligence in areas that women do not. And once we're able to bring them together, okay, without this bias, this gender bias, okay, what your pee-pee looks like, okay, or whether you're bigger, taller, stronger, thicker, whatever, okay, and everybody brings their talent to the fucking table, we're going to Mars. We're going to invent warp drive. We're going to create colonies on the moon. We're going to cure diseases. Women cure disease. Who discovered radioactivity? Marie Curie. Polish women.
Sklodowska.
See, and you of all people, listen, you of all people, being a Polish woman
Get
who
her.
lived through the Lech Walesa period. And what did Lech said? Lech Walesa praised Polish mothers and Polish women for having the strength to bolster your society and keep everybody strong enough. And the Polish women who worked for what was the union again?
Solidarity.
Solidansk. Okay, the women who worked for Solidansk worked just as fucking hard as the men.
They were.
Okay.
That doesn't.
And
yeah.
that was a great example of women being invited to the party as equals and using their strengths.
They were. No, I totally agree with that.
Great example.
But none of these women ever aspired to push men aside and say, we're going to do better. That's my point. You know what I mean?
They should have been given opportunities to lead. And I'm sure
And
there were
maybe they
women
would,
leaders. I'm
but
sure.
they weren't pushy and bossy and bitchy about it.
But I'm sure
They
there were
did
women in
what was
Solidansk that were elevated to levels of elevated to
I'm sure they were
positions of
in a way,
leadership.
yeah, but it was without all this, like we better
Right.
fuck you. We're gonna
Well,
do this.
in this instance,
don't step on
we
the
ha-
man.
In this
I mean,
instance,
still
we have to
respect
parse it out
them.
and bitch.
Well, I gotta say, I'm impressed with the flip-flop of ideas. You gave me some really thoughtful, in my opinion,
I really
feedback,
appreciate it. That
yeah,
was good.
on women
Men
leadership.
should be heard but not seen.
That hello, no, that I just really appreciated that feedback. That's interesting because you wouldn't expect that
You've
from a
calmed me
man.
down.
didn't expect Gonzo was a fucking global feminist.
I did not expect
You
that.
have
Gonzo,
calmed
no.
me down, which what I feel is what men's supposed to do, have the calming
Lord
effect
Jesus,
on an
help us
emotional
all.
woman. I'm into
Joanna,
you now,
I'm gonna
Gonzo.
ghost you. I can't with your views.
I gotta say, I'm a little firm. I don't know. It's
Oh,
just-
that's what he said.
I like
So, any last thoughts? Did we get anybody in our chat room by any chance? Any last thoughts on women leaders?
I'm scared to
women
see.
versus. Oh God.
Oh, good.
It's fine.
Screw these toxic masculinity Nazis.
It's because of the patriarchy. We can't get anyone to watch our show today. Anyway, ghosting.
So it's
Who all-
Gonzo Radio Show.
Gonzo Radio Show.
I put Gonzo
No. What is it? GonzoRadioNetwork.com.
No, GonzoRadioShow.com.
Oh shoot.
Yes,
I thought it was GonzoRadioNetwork.com.
Gonzo Radio Network. That's an old, really cool old backdrop. It redirects to the same thing.
Okay, good. Because that's the website I give out.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, don't worry. The old website redirects to the new one. So
I almost want to ghost our listeners that are not there because they've ghosted us and go get some coffee.
You're like 8 minutes.
That sounds good to me.
So
Oh, how cute.
we are all familiar. You know what's funny? Okay, yes, I'll pull that up. I just thought of something right now. But I want to talk about ghosting, and not just in the context of like romantic. Has anyone just ever abandoned you, Joanna, like that you communicated with on a regular basis? They just stopped talking to you?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, like kind of like recently a friend did that. I mean, we weren't friends for that long, but yeah, she seemed to do better at something, and literally on the night that she did better than I did, done. Never spoke to me again after that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and I tried. Just got like some BS, no, I'm just busy.
Was
this,
it in
that.
the comedy scene or was
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, that was one. Other than that, like,
fuck that
What
hat,
about
bitch.
romantic?
yeah. Romantic, no, not so much.
Yeah.
No, not so much. Romantic, no. Usually they tell me straight.
She's that good.
I'm not good. Romantic, usually they tell me straight to my face, like,
I'm
I don't fuck with you anymore.
I'm gonna read y'all something. This is a dating trends to watch out for, but again, we're not talking just in the dating context. But ghosting is when you simply stop responding to messages and appear to disappear off the face of the earth. But there's also zombieing, when you ghost, but then come back from the dead with a message out of the blue. And then there's benching, when you don't plan dates but continue to text, DM, and FaceTime someone to keep them on your roster. And then breadcrumbing, when you send random non-committal messages without ever committing to something worthwhile. So those are all the like millennial terms for like dating ghosting anyway. But
You just described the 90s for me. I mean, there was sex in there.
it was easier in the 90s because everyone wasn't glued to their phones. But you know now, if someone is not responding to you, that's because they don't want to.
Well, let me 90. Let me. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Basically.
Let me 90s translate that for you.
Book.
Yeah, ghosting is blowing you off.
Right.
Yeah.
Breadcrumbing is leading you on.
Right.
And all that other stuff is just manipulative shit.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
Okay.
all bullshit. That's what it is. Bullshit.
And when you get somebody like that, I'm very abrupt. Okay, I mean, and I'm sure Sharon's my age too. And what how much patience we got for that shit?
None.
Zero.
Bye, see ya.
Sharon, you been ghosted?
Yeah, I have. Well, yeah. Once by a guy, and it happened about 4 years ago. And
now.
No, I don't know. I don't know. It was a weird thing. We went on like 3 dates, and I liked him. He was super. He was super nice. But I think what happened was it was a time in my life when I was. I'm probably not close enough to the microphone. I'm sorry. I wasn't. Make a long story short, I wasn't in a financial position or anything. I was literally living in the ghetto and all that stuff. And he was, well-to-do and what have you. And I think when he, came to pick me up and saw where I lived, I think he thought I was just, maybe white trash or something. I don't know what he thought.
Oh.
Yeah. So our first 2 dates, I had met him because that's my kind of rule of thumb. I always like to meet people at the destination because I don't know if they're going to be creepy or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then when I said, "Oh, you can come pick me up," well, I lived in the ghetto. That's where I lived because that's all I could afford, and it was like the ghetto of Pompano. And so then, I never heard from him again. Pompton, I did.
Shout out to him.
And it really pissed me off. I was really angry because again, I don't judge people. I just don't do that.
Do you feel like you should have gotten a goodbye text or
Yeah, something. And it really bothered me. And then I heard from him, I'm not kidding, I don't know, 3 months later, and it was his whole apology text and all this stuff.
Oh, wow, that sounds
And-
zombieing.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. We didn't have those terms then. Okay, this is 3 or 4 years ago. And I wrote back to him simply, I just said, you could have just been man enough to give me, just explain then.
Yeah.
Instead of, just literally disappearing. But recently, It's funny because Joanna, you kind of explained exactly the same exact thing. It just happened recently, from a comedy friend, a girl.
Names.
I would love to say the name, but
No,
on
I'm
the
just
off
kidding.
chance that someone
No, no
is a
names.
mutual friend of her, I'm not going to say her name.
So it was a lady.
A girl comedian who I thought we were friends, and we used to talk at least 2 or 3 times a day, and we texted at least 2 or 3 times a day, and out of the blue, I just never heard from her again. And I tried calling and texting, and then nothing, and it was very bizarre. And,
Like not even a message to be like, look, you pissed me off.
Yeah,
I
nothing.
Don't fuck with you no more.
Nothing. And I believe, and I hope somehow this message gets back to her. I believe that when she realized that I was not who she thought I was, R.E., and everyone get ready to drink, that I was not the famous actress she thought I was.
Ah, you think she was
Yeah.
maybe using
Yeah,
your-
like when
Opportunist.
when Bad Boys came, the trailer came out, and it was like, yeah, Sharon's not really who she thinks she is, which I never pretended to be anything. As a matter of fact, I kept telling people, listen,
You keep it 100.
don't, I don't even know if my scene's going to be in the movie, but everyone kept saying, oh, Sharon's in Bad Boys, Sharon's in Bad Boys. I never, I don't pretend to be anything.
On Bad Boys.
Well, I'm in Bad Boys,
Okay, good.
but for like an eighth of a second, but
Still, you're on
prior
Bad Boys,
to-
damn it.
That's right.
I just
mean-
think she thought I was something that I wasn't.
yeah.
And when it came, when
thought
she
you
finally
were
realized
a ticket for her to
a ticket,
advance.
yeah, because she's an aspiring actress, she's
Okay.
an aspiring comedian, and she's climbing that ladder and stepping on heads. Okay, like literally, I call her a star fucker. Okay.
She's putting the heads in her mouth.
Oh, pretty much. Well, no, not really. That's a word I use for people who, she's a star fucker. And,
A star fucker?
star fucker. STAR fucker. And, star fucker. And, I just never heard from her again. And she literally ghosted me. But from what I hear, she's done this to a couple of people. And you may be talking about the same person. I don't know.
I think I am.
But,
I
not
don't know.
nice.
I don't know how.
Bitch.
I don't know
Not
how.
nice.
I don't know how I could have done anything for her.
Not
but
nice.
I think that's
And
the same person.
it's hurtful and creepy, and I don't get it.
Hurtful,
Trying
and
to
fucked
think.
up most of the
I don't get
yeah.
it. But that's, ghosting.
think
That's
the-
when you find the real people. You
I don't-
hold
I'll
on
tell
to
you
them
what.
motherfuckers as hard
Yeah.
as possible. You find the real, you keep being real, and the real
Yeah.
recognizes real, and you stick together.
Yeah.
Period.
It's just
Okay.
sad that you have to go through that process before you can separate the wheat from the chaff.
what's
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
What's the link for this thing?
Unfortunately, yeah.
I remember I had ghosted this girl that was a friend. I lived with her.
You
and-
ghosted her?
.net?
because like it got to a point to where I realized that she was just way too like self-centered of a person for me to be around. Like I couldn't really have a conversation with her over the phone without it being about her. Everything was about her.
Are you talking about me?
No, this was before I even. No, I ghosted her after because I moved to Florida and she came to visit and she like made it about her. Like she was like, "Oh, I'm shooting this reality show," and she like had her computer out the whole time, and it was just weird. I was like, I thought she was here to visit me, but no, it was always something else. She even tried to get me to like move to go work with her because she's an attorney and like she just wanted to like control like. Some people are just looking for this like adulation from other. I'm not like go find a man. Like I can't give you that. So I had to cut her out because she kept
Adopt the dog.
she kept saying that blame girls negative this and that, and I'm like blame girl is what I like to do, and what's making it negative is you telling me that it's negative. Like let me do what I do, and if you don't like it, like unfollow me or whatever,
Yeah.
Like, but I eventually just cut that person out of my life because I couldn't deal with it, and I'm just trying to think. I'm sure I've been ghosted by guys, but it just happens all the time to me, so it's nothing. I'm just getting dumped, basically. But I told I had a conversation with our friend Drew Ferrano about like the online apps, and you get ghosted on there a lot by people, and I was just like, well, you got to think about it like this, like you don't really know the person on the other side of the app. They may get on there while they're fighting with their significant other, and then they have to get off. Maybe
Well,
thinking
about that, remember that guy that I was talking to from the OkCupid, that 31-year-old dude with the kid?
Yeah.
I guess I got ghosted by him. Because, like, out of the blue, he stopped texting me. But that was after...
Did you stop texting him, too, though?
I stopped for a while, but he stopped texting me after I sent him a picture of me, Jay Guy, and Nadeem. So I guess he might have not liked that.
Why would you do that?
And Alana was on there, too. Because we were at the show, and it was fun. So I was like, hey, look what we're doing. And after that, I was like, done. So that could have been why. But I guess that's ghosting, right? Like,
I guess, yeah, because you don't get no explanation. Like, I got... The last time I really went on.
He was 31. Like I'm okay being ghosted by him.
Like the last couple of times I've gotten dumped, it's like I still talk to the most recent person that I tried to date, and then before that it was these guys online, and we all like the last date I went on. Like I let the guy know, like, yeah, I'm not interested in a third date, because he told me on that date, that was our second date, that he got engaged on his third date. The last time he was dating, and I was like, okay, I'm good. You sound a little too intense for me.
Yeah.
And then the guy before that, he didn't ghost me. He basically told me I was a heathen.
A heathen.
He was a Christian, and I was like, I'm agnostic. He
like
clearly
a pagan,
didn't read that on my dating profile. And we went out on a date, and it was just like, so I didn't get ghosted. Like there's explanation,
Yeah.
But the last time I can just think about someone I ghosted, and that was that friend, because I don't even think she would have gotten it if I just broke up with her. If I tried to explain, it just would have gone.
I actually just ghosted somebody. Do you want to hear that story? Do we have time? It's a little bit after 5.
We started.
Do we have time?
Late. We started a little late.
I just ghosted somebody.
Okay.
I feel bad. This is an interesting. I don't know if it's interesting to you guys, but
dating ghosting.
It's a dating ghosting.
Okay.
I went on a date with somebody recently that someone set me up with, and he's a retired cop from New York. I like cops, so I was like, cool. So we're talking, and I said, oh, you're from New York? He's like, yeah. So I said, where'd you work? He says, Queens. I said, cool. And what division? And he says, OC, which is organized crime. I said, wow, okay. Yeah, that's my that's my background. Did Larry, who set us up, I said, did he tell you about my background? He's like, yeah, a little bit. I said, oh, interesting. I said, I was like, do you know Ronnie? I went like that, which is one arm. He goes, I put him away. Right.
Ouch.
I said, what? That was when I see my face. I went, what? He goes, yeah, I'm the person who put him away.
Tell everyone who Ronnie is.
Ronnie's my ex, and we were together for a couple of years. And
Ex-husband or
no,
ex-man?
my ex-boyfriend.
Your homage.
And he's away. He's away. He'll be away for the rest of his life, and I'm still very good friends with him. And I talk to him at least twice a month. He calls me from prison, and we email each other 4 times a week. I send him birthday cards, Christmas cards, whatever. He's my dear friend. I'm still friends with his family. I love Ronnie. Okay, and I'm sitting next to this guy, and he says, I'm the guy who put him away. So of course, I'm not going to tip my hand, because I'm still sitting with this guy, and I want my meal to be paid for. Hello. I'm not stupid. So I said, oh, really? You put him away? And he goes, oh, yeah. And I said, oh, wow, really? I said, tell me about that. So he went on his little story about how he put him away and this and that. I said, wow. He goes, so you went out with Ronnie? I said, oh, yeah, I went out with him for a couple of years. And, I went into the whole story. So we continued with the meal. I ate my meal. I ordered the most expensive thing on the menu. And
Ronnie would be proud.
Ronnie would be proud. And he called me I drove home. That I got a text, did you get home okay? I didn't respond. The next day, I want to take you out again. I didn't respond. He kept texting and calling for a week straight. I never responded. So my friend Larry said, what's the matter with you? His name is Tom.
Him.
Tom he called me, said, "What happened to Sharon?" I said, "Larry, seriously? You didn't tell Tom who I am before you set me up with him? Really? See, for real?" So
Am I
that's,
being
I mean,
pranked?
come
Like,
on.
come on.
Like, come on. I'm not going to
Wow.
go out with that guy. Come on.
So that's a good reason for ghosting.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Like,
Gonzo, any ghosting?
Shit, no.
Okay, I'm going to lump it into one category, kind of like Sharon did, starfuckers.
Yeah.
Okay, in one of the industries that I move in, being the adult entertainment industry, at various times over the last, and I'm going to say probably the last 10 to 12 years, because I have kind of been moving in the upper echelons of the business with feature entertainers and some adult film and stars and such. And I do know and hang out with some producers and some directors and some actors and the big time actors in their own right. I know a few people. I go a few places. And a few young ladies have made the mistake given the mistaken identity that I was somebody to be catered to get that hookup. Okay, I have never ever made myself out to be anything more than I am, which is an MC and a promoter and a producer of podcasts.
Yeah.
My own little podcast network, and at one time, I was with the Planet Platypus Network, which was and now is becoming an industry standard platform for podcasting. And I never, ever, purposefully, never ever made myself to be anything more than I actually am. Okay, but some of these girls took the first impression to be, oh, I got to get to know this guy. Right. And I've made friends with some of these girls, and I've explained to some of them. And I've also explained to some of them, and they didn't get it. Now, I'm not going to say that their mistaken impression of me was beneficial in as much as I got a lot of sex out of it, because I know a lot of other guys who are, how can I say, less closely connected, like the guys and women that I know in the industry wouldn't give them the time of day, but I've got their home phone numbers, I got their cell phone number, I got their landline numbers. Okay, they're friends of mine, but I don't use that friendship to gain any purpose from it, especially to pick up strippers or porn stars. I like to. I'm sorry. I like to kill on my own merit. I like to land women on my own merit. And I've explained ad nauseum, but there have been a few who they rub up against me, and I mean, in Las Vegas, I was making out with this beautiful feature entertainer, and she was like an A-list feature entertainer, and we were playing tonsil hockey, and she was talking crazy shit, and we were getting ready to go back to the hotel room, and I kept telling her over and over again, I'm not part of this company. I just know this guy. I know this lady in the company. Okay. Oh, I know. It's okay though. I like you for you. Oh, okay. And then finally somebody came over and explained it to her, I guess, that she is friends with. And explained, yeah, this guy's just like, one of their friends. He's not a director. He's not an associate producer. He's not a money guy. He's not anything. He's one of the people hanging around. He's a DJ. He's an MC. He's a host. He's a producer of events. And she ghosted the shit out of me.
So that was some real time ghosting.
Disappeared. And this girl was my buddy, my pal for weeks.
Yep.
And we went out on a couple of dates. Like I said, we did some making out, and she checked me for ticks a couple of times. Okay, but there was no intercourse. There was no quid pro quo, if you will.
Yeah.
And I almost was to the point where I made sure that there was no quid pro quo, and make sure she still didn't want to understand. That was the extreme. And then finally somebody went to her and told her, and she believed them, and it was like I died. But I'm not a chaser. I have a rule. You get 3. You get 3 contacts. Okay, 3 contacts, no comeback. I'll ask somebody if you died. You didn't die? Oh, okay. Well, sorry to hear that. Bye.
So, have you ever ghosted anyone?
Psychos.
Okay.
Psychos. Complete banana.
Otherwise,
psychos.
you try to give a reason for
Yeah,
the lack of communication.
I have politely said, listen, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
I've said that a few times.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work out. This doesn't
If
work
you're
out for
ghosting
me.
them, you've probably already said that.
But no, I've ghosted. No.
What
no,
about with
because I'm still
friends?
friends with some of those girls.
What about with friends? Have you had any
friends?
friends that just
I, unfortunately, due to Facebook, thank you, Sharon. I'm joining the Sharon Pfeiffer revolution. Fuck Facebook. And unfortunately, due to Facebook, some people, especially people who get their little red hat a little up in the air, and it's like, hey, I've known you since high school. Okay, I was there the first time you rolled a joint. I was there the first time you did a line of cocaine. I was there the first time that you did shady shit. Okay, and now all of a sudden you're this pious asshole, and I'm a douchebag. I'm a nobody. I don't judge you like that.
Yeah.
I've lost a few friends like that.
Yeah.
And it's just snip, no
no
more.
explanation?
Just no more. I mean, I have a friend in Massachusetts whom I had a long distance relationship for a while. I don't know if I ever told you this story. She and I had supposedly been tight for a long time. We'd gone through it up and down the road. Over 20 years we'd known each other, okay? And I know that there's a benchmark where there was some sort of damage, literally damage to her brain that changed her chemistry, and then it slowly slid to the point where she started losing her mind over, like, out of context, losing her mind over stuff, losing her mind over subject matter and things like that. And then finally, I still have the last text that she sent me in my phone because I didn't reply. And she called and left a message, a nasty message. You motherfucker, you. And nothing. You get nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't block her because I want her to continue to shovel her own dirt.
Yeah.
Okay, but totally ghosted her.
Yeah.
Okay, and as much as it broke my heart, because I loved this woman, loved her,
Sounds
and
like
just
you
things
had a-
changed.
Sometimes you have reasons to ghost people.
Yes.
Before we wrap
And they
up,
give 'em to you.
Joe, you ever ghosted anyone? I don't think I asked you that.
Yeah, no, I can't. No, I don't think so.
No.
No, I usually just say what I
You
have
let
to
them
say.
know, like,
yeah.
I'm done with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I have,
can, yeah.
I have like unfollowed people on Facebook.
That's not
If that's not the same, like just.
But you'll still talk to them.
But yeah, no, no, I really.
All right, gals.
No.
I am ready to wrap up because I am so hungry right now.
Don't eat my chili.
Okay, fine.
food out there, I swear.
Fine. I guess we won't. get
Everybody
offered
come to
food on the
Gonza's
way.
house. There is chili here.
Let's go eat.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in this week. Anybody got any shows coming up they want to pub?
No.
Just me? I'm doing my first feature gig at Arts Garage in Delray on Tuesday at 8 p.m. There is an open mic afterwards. Please come out and support and get in the open mic. I hope I'm doing it. I haven't been able to get in touch with the person who.
Yeah, you're doing it.
Yeah, I did sign a
You
contract.
signed a contract. You're doing it.
So I'm excited. Come out, support. Gonzo, what you got going on tomorrow on the Gonzo Radio Network?
Very strange. My guest, who was supposed to be on tomorrow night, has contracted
No.
an illness.
Don't
Not
say
even
And
that.
I'm not
Coronavirus.
saying the coronavirus. She is ill and is unable to make it. We are currently, I wouldn't say scrambling, but we are currently in search of a new guest, a replacement guest. But we are most likely going to go on at 8 p.m. tomorrow night, regardless.
Yeah.
Because I'm a stubborn asshole, and I will have a show. If it's just me and Sam Singh,
Yeah.
talking nonsense about the Super Bowl and talking nonsense about all the crazy shit that happened during the Super Bowl, because crazy shit's going to happen. We'll talk about the commercials. I don't care.
Yeah.
Until
Best part.
our guest that we had planned for tomorrow night, which was Savannah Grace, she is ill, unfortunately. And get well, Savannah,
Get
if
well.
you're
Get
if you're listening
well.
to this.
Yes.
And we will soldier on.
Yeah.
And I will be there Tuesday night at Arts Garage. And I am 90% certain that I will not be going on a fucking open mic.
Oh, damn, that was going to be my next. You going up?
Oh, you guys,
We will
so,
work on
so,
that.
You
so,
have to go up.
so ambushed me at the robot.
You have
oh
to
my
go
God.
up.
Oh, and you did so good.
You
Honey,
You
made
did
me.
no.
great,
Oh, I
dude.
ate shit.
did
Stop
great.
it.
You're
Oh
great.
my God.
How come I didn't see that? Oh wait, I do have something to say. Because I just to remind you, I won't be here next weekend.
You
I don't
won't?
know if you know that. I
didn't
have a
know
gala
that.
event because a film that I made out in L.A. called Corky All Grown Up is premiering at the
Yes.
Florida Comedy Film Festival next weekend.
We were going to
and
talk
the-
about trying to do some streaming from there.
Yeah, and the gala event is Sunday. My movie's premiering Saturday. But Fran Drescher is the guest of honor.
I'm
So that's going to be
invited
really
there. Is it the
fun.
6th?
Right, yeah, the 7th. No, it's the 7th, 8th, and the 9th.
I was invited. Carrie invited me.
Yeah, well,
I
that's
want the
Thursday
guest list, but
night.
I don't
That's
know what
Thursday
day.
night. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So, yeah. So, anyway, so that's...
Yeah, but you'll try to get some. We'll try to stream you and we'll talk to Gonzo.
Yeah, we'll do something, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah,
So
so-
you can see us out and about this week, and thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next week.
Wow.